Copier. All right, Knicks fans, we need to talk, because something just happened in Portland that has everything to do with what's coming for our team this summer. And honestly, the more I dig into this, the more frustrated I get. So stick with me on this one, because if you've been worried about Mitchell Robinson walking out the door, this video might actually give you a little bit of hope, but it also might make you angrier at ownership than you already are. Before we get into it, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And if this is the kind of breakdown you want more of, smash that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. So here's what happened. Robert Williams III just locked in a new deal with the Portland Trail Blazers. 3 years, $44 million. Now on the surface, that sounds like just another off-season transaction that has nothing to do with us. But when you actually look at how Portland structured this contract, it tells you everything about how a team can protect itself while still taking care of an injury-prone big man. And that, my friends, is exactly the blueprint the Knicks front office should be studying right now from Mitchell Robinson. Let me break down the numbers for you. Portland fully guaranteed Williams' salary for next season. That's $14 million, no strings attached. But here's where it gets smart. For year 2 of the deal, only $5 million of the $14.7 million he's owed is guaranteed up front. The rest only locks in if he actually plays 50 games this upcoming season. And the third year? Not guaranteed at all, unless he hits that same 50-game threshold a year before. That's a team basically saying, we believe in your talent, but we're not getting burned again by your body. And look, if you're a Knicks fan who's watched Mitchell Robinson's ankle and knee history over the years, this should sound very familiar. This is a guy who's been electric when healthy, a legitimate anchor on defense, a lob threat, a guy who changes the physicality of every game he plays. But availability has been the question mark hanging over his head for years now. So when I see a contract like this in Portland, I immediately think this is the exact framework the Knicks could use to keep Mitch in New York without completely exposing themselves financially. Now, let's talk about why this actually matters so much right now. Comparing the two players over the last 4 seasons, Robinson has actually been more available than Williams, playing in 167 games compared to Williams' 120, and averaging more minutes too. But this past season specifically, the two of them were shockingly similar in workload, Robinson averaging under 20 minutes a night in 60 games, Williams just slightly behind him in 59 games. Robinson's a bit younger. Williams brings a little more as a passer and finisher offensively, but close enough that Williams' new deal becomes a legitimate starting point for what Robinson's next contract could look like. Here's my honest take as a fan. This should not be complicated. If Robert Williams is willing to accept a deal built around performance-based guarantees tied to games played, there's a real argument that Mitchell Robinson would take a similar structure too. And if that's true, the Knicks have an actual pathway here that doesn't force them to blow past the second apron completely. Right now, the team has just under $6 million of space below that threshold, and we all know Robinson is going to cost more than that on a normal market deal. But if ownership structures it the Portland way, they wouldn't be on the hook for the full guarantee unless Robinson actually proves he can stay on the floor. That's not complicated. That's just smart asset management. So why do I have this sinking feeling that our front office is going to overthink this into oblivion? If you feel that same frustration, drop a comment below. I want to know if you trust Dolan to actually get creative here or not. There's also a second path here worth mentioning, because the Knicks could flip the structure entirely. Instead of using partial guarantees on the back end like Portland did, New York could offer Robinson full guaranteed money across the life of the deal in exchange for him taking a lower overall salary. Under this scenario, if the Knicks offered something like $30 million guaranteed over 3 years, his starting salary next season would come out to around $9.3 million, still in second apron territory technically, but close enough to the line that the front office could make real-time decisions as the season plays out, all the way up until the trade deadline. But let's be real for a second, because there's a massive catch here. That path requires Robinson to accept a pay cut from his previous deal, which was 4 years and $60 million. And with the center market as thin as it currently is, that's a big ask. Robinson isn't exactly walking into a buyer's market where he has to accept scraps. Which brings me to the part of this story that honestly makes me the most upset as a Knicks fan. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. This market for centers is drying up fast, and every single time another big man comes off the board, Mitchell Robinson's leverage goes up, not down. Isaiah Hartenstein just re-signed with Oklahoma City for 3 years and around $74.5 million. Al Horford is off the market. Mark Williams is off the market. That leaves Robinson as arguably the most desirable available center left, especially with restricted free agents like Jalen Duren and Walker Kessler protected by their own team's matching rights. Brooklyn is likely locking up Day'Ron Sharpe. The Clippers might do the same with Brook Lopez. Robert Williams and Kristaps Porzingis are basically the only other name value bigs floating around, and neither one of their teams has to worry about apron restrictions the way the Knicks claim they do. So think about that for a second. The fewer available centers there are, the more expensive Robinson becomes. And yet ownership is still talking about staying under the second apron like it's some sacred rule written in stone. If Jose Alvarado is already locked into the roster, that reportedly caps what the Knicks can offer Robinson in the $8 to $9 million range for a starting salary. That's a massive pay cut from the $13 million he made this past season, and half the league is going to be willing to beat that number without blinking. And that's really the whole story right here, isn't it? It's not about whether Mitchell Robinson wants to stay. It's not about whether he fits the timeline of a team that's already proven it can win at a championship level with him on the floor. It's about whether James Dolan is finally willing to spend like a team that just won it all should spend. Because right now we're being told the difference between keeping a rim-protecting anchor and losing him for nothing comes down to a self-imposed spending limit, not actual basketball reasoning. As a fan, I'll be honest with you, this is exhausting. We finally got the parade. We finally got the version of this franchise we've been begging for since the 90s. And now we're sitting here nervous that ownership is going to nickel and dime its way into breaking apart the front court that got us there. Robert Williams' new deal in Portland proves there's a smarter way to structure this. The blueprint exists. The question is whether our front office actually has the guts to use it, or whether we're going to watch Mitchell Robinson walk into another team's building this summer because ownership couldn't get over its own fear of a luxury tax bill. Let me know in the comments. Would you rather the Knicks match a competitive offer even if it means paying the tax? Or are you fine letting Robinson walk if the number gets too high? I read every single comment. So tell me where you stand. And if you want more breakdowns like this one throughout free agency, make sure you're subscribed, because this offseason is going to move fast, and I'm not missing a single update. Drop a like on this video if you want the Knicks front office to actually take notes from what just happened in Portland, and I will see you in the next one.